We'll talk about small business taxes. Do you think the Philadelphia City Code should be reevaluated?
Absolutely, yes.
In what ways?
So we have a tax system from the 1990s. The last time our tax code was truly overhauled and established, which included a number of different taxes that were established, was back in the early 2000s, which meant that the people's ideas and data came from the 1990s. And if any small business, any individual is frustrated with the way our city taxes and how it thinks about revenue and engagement and growth, they absolutely have the right to, because we are living 25 years in the past. It is deeply important that the next mayor doesn't just tinker around the edges, tweaking things, and all of that. That's a role for council, absolutely, that they can do all of that. The next mayor needs to lead a full overhaul of our city's tax code. Should convene, which I called for in 2021, an overhaul of the city's tax code, bringing together lots of different businesses. Now, I want to make a couple of things clear. One, I want to absolutely reduce the number of taxes that especially businesses pay. And that's largely because I don't want businesses hating me 7 times every time they write a check. But I want to also be thoughtful that we are actually trying to grow the city, and we are trying to create revenues. Many of the problems that people complain about, especially with businesses, focus in on core areas: safety, cleanliness, education, and access to the workforce that they need. That does take support. It does take an opportunities to capital access. Those are things that the city can provide. Shrinking our tax base and making it impossible for me to provide revenues to support city services and expand is not necessarily the tool that's going to get us there.
So how do
things that can do it are ways in which we can incentivize. So we can incentivize subsidies, other types of things, are money that we forfeit currently, but we don't have, that don't take money out of coffers, but that look towards the future. Those are extremely important right now. One of the reasons why I fought a little bit around the more antiquated tax subsidies that we've got is that they aren't really necessarily incentivizing the areas and places that we want to take a look at. And so I'd like us to see a real kickstarting of what that can look like. Now, could there be a number of different things? I mean, obviously, I'm interested in supporting opportunities funds, an equity fund for Black and Brown and immigrant businesses in particular to go out. I'm interested in subsidizing storefront properties in abandoned areas to reduce commercial rent. Those are, and certainly I want to see significant access to capital. Those are one of the most important areas. One of the reasons why I've supported, the concept and the ideas around a public bank, but also more importantly, like a larger authority that pulls together our different financial lending institutions and pulls everybody to the table so we can see, like, if we did $1 billion pitch to Amazon, there could easily be $1 billion and more being invested at the city and local level and harnessing all these different institutions and lending institutions that we've got, including with the city at the helm, to deliver that out to businesses. But the tax code, I want to make sure is both equitable and helps grow the city and reduces the number of taxes that people have, incentivizes towards the future, and helps us become a more modern Philadelphia. The one that we've got, we're just piling taxes on, we're tinkering around the edges. It's not fundamentally going to fix. And I think you've indicated this before. We're in a right now, the city has probably a 2-year window at most to be able to do something creative and to prevent an absolute cataclysmic free fall on the economic front. I do not see the work from home initiative changing. I have young children who are in the Gen Z era. I've got staff and others and people who work around me, surround me, who are in the millennial era. This is not a temporary kind of situation. It's a generational shift, and thus it's going to be an economic shift. It is very important to me, not only that corporate headquarters come to Philadelphia, but that their employees want to come to Philadelphia. If I get headquarters without jobs that actually relocate here, I may not actually see a growth in the city economically. My mission has been the mission that it was 30 years ago. The most desirable city for Philadelphia and for Philadelphia's businesses will be the most livable city in America. And that means leveraging in on the things that make us whole as a society, as a neighborhood, and as an economy. So that starts with safety. That makes sure that we have cleanliness in our streets. It's a delivery of city services. It is affordability, especially when we're competing between New York City and Washington, D.C., and is making sure that our children are educated, that they are cared for, and that this city is the best place in America to raise your family and to build your future, and a place to call home.